And now it's time for another history of Halloween. Jack, it is I, the devil. I've heard tales of your depravity, and I've come to take your soul. Aye, well, I'd be fond of one more drink before my last ride then, devil. The devil took Jack to the bar, where they got one last drink. Thanks, devil, but would you mind picking up the tab? Sure, here's a silver coin, Jack. Ha! Well, now I've got you. And that is how Stingy Jack first tricked the devil. After placing the silver in his pocket, he withdrew the crucifix, the symbol of his faith. Other versions say that he got the devil to get an apple from a tree and then carved a cross into its trunk, tricking the devil the way the devil was said to have tricked Eve. The outcome, either way, is that Stingy Drunk Jack bent the former choir leader to his will and made a deal that his soul would never go to hell. Upon Jack's death, he was rejected from heaven. Did he really think a guy with the double title of stingy and drunk was going to get in there? Jack regretted his predicament, and so went to see the devil, making a plea to let his soul be entered into hell. But again, he was turned away, hoisted by his own petard, and forced to roam the earth eternally. As a final parting gift, the devil scooped up a lump of coal smoldering with hellfire and put it in a turnip for Jack to use as a lantern. The Irish originated the tradition of carving faces into root vegetables and putting a candle in them, said to warn off Jack, who'd come begging for drink and coin at summer's end. Hiding the lanterns among the hedges and on walking paths also just brought a spooky ambience of glowing faces to the holiday. When this tradition was brought to the U.S., pumpkins were more readily available and easier to carve, and therefore became the welcome sign to trick-or-treaters that we know today. This is at least the most common story. There are other tales backed up by images from Harper's Weekly of pumpkin effigies in the mid-1800s. Pumpkins were also a common winter squash that were introduced to even Plymouth colonizers by indigenous people as early as 1620. Pumpkins, propelled into spookiness in literature by Sleepy Hollow when the headless rider throws its head at Ichabod Crane, later to be found out that it was a pumpkin. Shortly after, in Nathaniel Hawthorne's Feathertop, a witch gives a scarecrow a carved pumpkin for a face. Another historical connection is to that of will-o'-the-wisps. And it's not just the naming convention. Will-o'-wisp is a swamp gas that flares up, and when seen at night was often mistaken for a man carrying a lantern. Jack, being a common name, brought about the name Jack-o'-lantern. But really, it was just methane gas. In 2022, jack-o'-lanterns accounted for over $800 million in sales, and more than 1.5 billion pounds of carved pumpkins made it to porches and displays. The city of Keene, New Hampshire holds the record for most jack-o'-lanterns lit at once, with a staggering 30,581 corpse candles lit in the gourds in 2013. The largest jack-o'-lantern also holds the record for the largest pumpkin ever, coming in at 2,560 pounds before it was carved. Its name is Maverick. Make sure you compost your pumpkin when the time comes. If they end up in the landfill, they emit gases, coincidentally causing more will-o'-the-wisps. And don't toss your seeds. They make great snacks, roasted and seasoned. They can also be soaked and broken down into plant-based proteins. You can find lots of recipes for pepitas, another name for pumpkin seed. And that's all for this edition